Hey everybody, Obey the Papaya, back at you again with another YouTube video. So I decided to try and make a tier list for I would say the best carrying mid laner for people that want to try to look into one tricking for version 0.15. So these were what I would think even mid laners that aren't actually mid laners, and why I'll explain why I think they're pretty decent in mid lane currently, and why they could help out the team, help you out in carrying. But yeah, let's get right to it. So first on the list, we'll discuss the S tier. So Countess. Countess is my favorite character, so there might be some bias into this. But I think Countess currently outputs a ridiculous amount of damage. You got the alchemical rod buff. That helps a lot actually, and it's something I may actually look to start building on her, getting it stacked, and then looking at going into the combustion route. And she just outputs so much damage. It doesn't seem like it too much on minions. It kind of lowers your minion clear, but as you scale up, as you're prioritizing farm, she just outputs so much damage. And then once you get Time Flux, which is the crest that allows you to get your skills back. So let's say you play Countess and you use your Q, E, R, and B. And let's discuss this as let's say you time flux, you use your Q, your E, your R, and B. You have to use your Q back. And then you'll have, after 4 seconds, you'll get teleported back to your location, and then you'd have all your skills back up. But you have to make sure that you teleport back to your Q, otherwise you will lose it. So she's ridiculously strong with that. The buff into a chemical rod helped her a lot. She's my favorite. If you can one trick her and know how to position well with her, I think she's a phenomenal carry up into Masters. Next on the list, we got Gideon. So Gideon is just a demon in general. He's been a demon for a while. His amount of burst, fast wave clear, rotations, safety, ult CC damage makes him a monster. I haven't necessarily tried Alchemical Rod too much on him. I still think Calm, just getting that really fast clear instantly, allowing him to get into the quick rotations, helps the team out a lot. As it is in low elo, it seems to me that kills are a priority over farm. Where if you're able to get into the enemy's head, get them to tilt, get a lot of kills, farm of course is important, but prioritizing the rotations, and with Gideon's E and his speed and his clear, it helps out a lot. So he's on the S tier for me. Next is Wraith. Wraith is a very skillful character. He's had so many buffs and nerfs, some really weird changes. He still outputs a ton of damage. We got the perforator buff, and that's helped him out a lot. He's got some changes into his kit. His basic attack damage has increased, but his burst is still there. He's a monster. He's very easy to play. Relative, you have to hit your shots, but if you're gonna one trick someone, if you one trick him and you position properly, he is an absolute monster. It's very easy for him to farm. He just gets to sit back, throw a Q, get some arm, throw his RMBs out. Basically has infinite mana, and you just kind of farm up. Once you start getting your first item, once you touch level 6, you basically get to run to dual lane, teleport them back, and get to burst them down almost on repeat. It's a significance that I think Countess has too, where Countess has that stun to secure kills. Wraith is kind of on the same boat. He has that teleport to secure flashes, to secure kills as well. So he's on the S list. Argus is a problem right now. I know there's chances of his kit not being changed, there are chances of his kit being changed. Well, not kit, but getting nerfed. But his kit is ridiculous. So if we're not seeing too much changes if we're not seeing the stun go away, if we're not seeing the pull going away, he's a very easy kit. He doesn't really have an escape, so that's his one con. But I mean, his kit is so strong in team fights. He's so strong. I mean, we got a little bit of leaks on the data mine. I haven't made a video or anything on that. I'm just gonna wait. I might not make a video on that, but it doesn't look like they're gonna do too much to him that I would have expected. And I think he's gonna be on the S tier list. He's gonna be a monster in high tier play, but just for even for climbing, for one tricking and all that. He seems like an absolute monster. He brings a lot into this kit. So let's go down to the A tier. So now the A tier, this is where. So from this point on, this entire tier list, I really do think every character from S and A it's super easy, to carry with them. It's not like, oh, there's so much of a gap. This is just for me trying to lay things out a bit, you know. So these characters are still really strong. They're phenomenal. I would say that you can do it, but you're just gonna have to be on a higher level, a higher skill. Not the average one trickers, gonna be able to climb necessarily with these people, and they can though. But this is just to kind of divide the list. So Bellica. Bellica's been an issue. Bellica is definitely an issue in support and in mid, not knowing what lane she's gonna go to. The reason why I put Bellica in A though is she is very dependent on that Q. If that Q is missed, you can punish her really hard. It's a long cooldown. She outputs a ton of damage, but she needs follow up as well. That's kind of why I put her on A, but she is a phenomenal character. She's a problem. I would like to see changes with her. But that's what it is. She is really strong. She has a lot of burst potential. She has ability to go support. She is very strong in fights, but she is very dependent on that Q. It's very important to hit that. So next on the list, we got Drongo. So Drongo, he's one of the best carries out right now. The only con, honestly, is because his escape comes at level 6. If you ward properly and position properly, watch my videos on most important ward and some of my position videos and tips and tricks. It will definitely help you out to where you are allowed to take Drongo in mid lane very easily. Same with all the other ADCs that are in here. But that's basically it. He puts out a ton of damage. He brings a lot of utility. Even with being an attack damage, this is something with Wraith even too. There's so much pen in this game, I really can't justify saying, oh, your team is all AD, your team is all magic power. I mean, magic power is an issue. Attack damage, physical power, that really doesn't matter. There's too much pen. So like you could easily run ADs into the game. You could easily tilt people. That's kind of what it is. They throw out a ton of damage to help you secure. Carries in general throw out a lot of damage to help you secure objectives. So if you take an AD mid, it's definitely worth it. There's actually one person I wanted to add in. Whoopsies. Maybe I'll discuss this at the end. Let me see. I'm gonna throw him out here. But yeah, like that's why I see with the carries, they're able to still get a lot of pressure. They get some pretty easy farm. It's pretty predictable what mids are gonna do in lane. So hence why I think that running a carry in mid is very, very easy. Murdoch also has a long range. He has the burst. He has the push away. His ultimate can kill steal and secure things to where he's able to scale. His E gives him good movement speed, just ward behind you. He just has a lot of damage output. He's very solid. He's such a good scaling character. So next is Shinbi. Shinbi. So the one con I say with Shinbi, I would borderline say A and B tier more than S and A tier. Shinbi outputs a ton of damage. She's very easy in lane. She has her escape that can, she can farm with her Q, escape with her RMB if she's in trouble. The only con is that she doesn't provide any type of CC. She is melee. She's relatively squishy, so it's mainly her positioning. You got to be careful with that. She's easy to get CC'd and punish you, but she outputs a ton of damage. And if you can really, punish the enemy team like that, if they're not positioning properly, take out the ADC, apply a lot of pressure, a lot of poke, she is very strong. But she's just, she doesn't have that solid sustain even when you go a soul bearer, you add lifesteal. I'm a little bit iffy with her. So I put her between an A and B, but I bias her to an A if you're a one trick and you're not positioned properly. And that's who you kind of want to main. Next is Faye. So Faye, ton of burst. Only unfortunate thing, right, is her ultimate can get reclamation. It can get, a lot of people can break out of it. So that's one con, but she still outputs a ton of damage. Her level of farming is very easy to farm with her. She can throw in some really good rotations early game before people get crests, right? She has a lot of burst still, but in low elo, you're not going to see much people do that. While you're climbing, you're not going to see much reclamation. You're not going to see much of the crazy plays and people using their crests at timely manners and whatnot. So she's still, in my opinion, very strong to climb up with. Very easy to lane. The con is that her escape, right? She has no escape. So you have to respect that, and you have to play it a bit safe. Be very aware of the enemy jungler, be aware of the other laners. But she can be used to take out a lot of that take out the reclamation early, throw in zone people away. She has a lot in her kit, a lot of, I would say, constant damage. So next we have Twin Blast. So Twin Blast, he has monstrous clear. I've always discussed that when I go against him. He has monstrous clear. He has a gap close / escape. Currently with the build of going, Mind Razor and then Penetration, he dominates. He's very strong. He can kill tanks really quickly. He can kill squishies really quickly. He can position relatively well, clear a lot of lanes, provide a lot of poke. The con is he doesn't really have any type of CC. So when it comes to, getting a jungle gank, you're counting on your jungler to apply pressure. But he just puts so much clear to throw in some rotations and whatnot, to where I put him in the A list. And if you were really good with him, you hit your shots, he's a very, very punishing ADC to go against in mid lane. So next to the B list. B list, I would still say, once again, you can look into carrying. These people throw out so much damage. It's usually, the small stuff that just kind of make it really punishing. So we got, there's no order in terms of Kira's number 1 compared to Rev. There isn't any order like that. It's just, these are the B tier characters. So we got Kira. Kira throws a ton of damage. I mean, every basic attack she's going to start scaling and adding more damage output. She has an escape. Her ult's kind of useless though, and she's relatively basic, not very good clear. But if you play her and you just let the mid laner push and you just call your pings, she will, call your pings, call your MIAs. Hopefully your laners don't die. That's like the most important thing. Type them in chat. Hey guys, I'm really slow. Please, please, please listen to my pings. They're very important. Like, let people know, because people go, okay, that's a reminder for me, right? But I would bias her on B and C, but because she's able to throw a ton of damage into late, people kind of forget about her, and her gap close being relatively far. It's a pretty nice gap close. And escape, that I would say that she does have a lot of potential. Her slow is really strong for when it comes to securing and slowing down the enemy for your jungle to gank. To where I'd say she is strong, just not that much clear pressure. So you have to play really safe and really focus on letting your team know, hey guys, I have to call these MIAs, so be ready. So Revenant outputs a ton of damage. Next on the list, Revenant outputs a ton of damage. The con with Revenant, right, is that he needs a lot of peel. He has an ult that self peels, but it kind of takes him out of it. People can escape from him. It's just a little bit iffy. He has no escape, but like I said, with mid lane and timing jungler rotations and whatnot, unless you're really against the Kalari, you're not really gonna get punished. But he scales so ridiculously hard. And when you have another ADC and you're the ADC, who's the Kalari going to focus? Kalari's going to have to focus one of you, right? So it's kind of like if you have like an assassin like that. So if you're not getting focused as Revenant, you're going to output a ton of damage. It's kind of like one of those things, right? Where if you can dodge all of Gideon's skills, he's useless, right? It's the same thing with Wraith. If you dodge all his skills, it's useless. But Revenant throws so much consistent damage just due to being a basic attack character and his Q and his ability to kind of cancel out the jungler if you're going for like if you're trying to contest a prime or something. It brings a lot of utility, a lot of damage. It's just a little bit iffy because of his escape, not having much of an escape. That kind of punishes him a little bit. Next on the list is Sparrow. Sparrow has a lot of poke damage. Has to stand into late game. Has no escape though, but she puts so much damage out. She does so much AoE damage that if you're given the peel, once again, the 2 ADC type of thing, where they're going to prioritize you or the other ADC, you can output so much damage. You scale really hard. You have pretty good wave clear for a mid laner character, or playing her as a mid laner character. So I would say that it is possible. She's very strong. You just gotta let her scale. So yeah, next on the list we got Howitzer. So Howitzer, he has a lot of pressure. He has good CC with his E. He has ultimate that puts a ton of damage, but in my opinion, he's so dependent on that ult that keeps him out of position. Like, he just has a Q that outputs a ton of damage and an ult that outputs a ton of damage, and his E is kind of a displacement. If he doesn't have those two things, he's kind of a sitting duck, and it's the one thing I have never found Howitzer to be the carry. He's more of a supporting mid, where when a lot of damage is to be outputted, he is your guy. But if you're gonna be the carry, it's hard to be the direct carry with him. So that's the only con I see with Howitzer. He's very strong, he's good, but it's just that he has a big body, easy to get hit by a lot of abilities, and just kind of falls off a bit. Not necessarily having an escape, but his E being the escape with a long cooldown, and his ultimate also kind of being the escape with a long cooldown, and stasis just kind of locking him in. The crests don't feel too good on him. So next we got Gadget. So Gadget outputs a ton of damage. She is a powerhouse. She is a monster, but she depends on a team. She really depends on a team. You need to have everyone set up. You need to be at the objective. You need to zone out, but she takes time to do damage. So that's the one thing that I have, with Gadget, is that her carry potential is just low because of that. Really good in high level play, really good in competitive play when you have comms. That's kind of, the one thing though, is that her being the carry is just that, it's hard to allow her to do the damage output. Usually if you're on the struggling team, it's hard to carry with her. So Fang Mao, this is one I added a little bit later into the video, but Fang Mao. So Fang Mao mid is very strong, but of course he's a little squishy early and getting poked out. It can punish him if you're against, if you're against Gideons, if you're against the phase. It's gonna be hard for him to farm a bit, but he does have a shield that can tank a bit. His entire goal, like why you play a Fang Mao, is you're adding AD, right? Physical damage. Physical damage is gonna help you provide a ton of clear. When it comes to taking the big objectives, like I notice it when I take a Fang Mao mid, I'm able to really clear Fangtooth and Prime really quick. I can go and take enemy jungle really quick. I can go and throw rotations. He has very good movement speed, teleport, gap close. So he can punish a lot of people, but he's very skill based. You got to learn how to play him. You got to learn how to play into all those characters in the mid lane. It's kind of like Shinbi, but I'll say Shinbi probably is a little bit easier to do her Q to farm. He has to directly go up forward, right? Everything in his kit is within melee range, but when you play him into late game, it's a little bit tough too. You have to position yourself properly to kill, to assassinate. Maybe you have to wait for the team to engage in the fight before you can go in and output a ton of damage. So he's a very strategic player, but if you can one trick this Fang Mao, you can put him in S tier. But he's hard. It's gonna take a lot of time. It's it's gonna be hard to be the carry on your team in low elo with Fang Mao, in my opinion. You could probably punish people a lot really aggressively. I've only done the base MMR up to masters, so I haven't really, seen how, people at lower MMR really play to where if you could be punishing. I mean, I'm sure that you can be. It's just I put him at B because there's gonna be some matchups that are really gonna punish him. Otherwise I'd bias him towards the A or S tier even. I do think he has a lot of potential to throw out a lot of carries. Anywhere from gold up to masters. But yeah, so that's it for the B list. So the C list is still good, but their carry potential has dropped due to item changes and not necessarily scaling too hard. So we got Morgish. So Morgish is annoying. She's a demon. She's frustrating, but she doesn't provide much due to the current meta. The current meta being hard CC, being tank, right? She outputs a ton of damage, but the Mega Cosm change hasn't been nice to her. Even she can still burst out carries relatively well. It's just that she doesn't bring anything to the table. She's just straight damage, and that's kind of it. She's pretty close up. So I've seen her fall off recently, especially with the Mega Cosm change. Still nothing's really picked up on her. I haven't tried her with the Alchemical Rod change. I really doubt that's going to be a change on her. She can farm pretty easily in lane, but just her carry potential just feels really off, just due to what I'm seeing being played recently. So I've dropped her into a C. And we got Iggy. Iggy's next. Iggy, once again, outputs a good amount of damage, kind of like a gadget, but it's just how can you carry with Iggy? It's very hard. The turrets have to be placed. They can be destroyed. If your team moves off your turrets and then the enemy team moves off them, now you have to reset your turrets. The ultimate's kind of weak overall. The RMB spam is really nice, but you're very dependent on your team with Iggy. Really, he can still probably work in like high level play, just due to how to set things up and how to set things around objectives, but low tier play, the carry potential isn't there. So the next person is Decker. So Decker I have put on low. You've seen Decker play a few times. It's just that she brings a lot of CC. She can bring some damage, but she's very skill shot dependent. And I feel like you're just missing out on the overall damage that you could usually get from the other mid laners. So you in a way can help out. It'd be like a stronger damage support, right? But it's just like if you already have the tank meta CC characters, that she's kind of not worth it in my opinion in mid. You know, she doesn't output as much as an Argus. She's basically like an Argus, and Argus just outputs so much. There really isn't a reason to go Decker. So it's like, you know, it's tough to really put her anywhere. But that's my opinion for the mid lane. Try to, you know, carry yourself into higher elo. People to one trick as a mid laner. And yeah, this is, you know, I overall there's might be some things that I could see missing. I think really only person could be Kalari. I just feel like Kalari poke is similar. It's similar to a Fang Mao. If I really want to add Kalari in, you know, I'd say I'd rate her at like a B or C tier. It's just that she is very skill dependent and she's very squishy, more squishier. But she does have some range poke, but it's a little bit, you know, she can heal off her Q, but just a bit funky. But yeah, this is my mid-tier list for version 0.15. I do probably plan to try and see, like, from what I see from other people play, try to make other roles. And I mean, you know, as a disclaimer, I'm not going to main a lot of those roles, but it's something that I kind of see, and I think people could, you know, take word of what I think is, you know, kind of going in the patch and what characters could be played, and you know, have really been punishing to me, and to people that I've seen get punished by. I kind of explained my opinion on those things. But yeah, so that's it for the mid lane tier list, or version 0.15. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. And yeah, all right, I'll catch y'all. Take it easy, have a good one, and good luck on your games. Peace.